Hi and welcome to today's video where I'm going to be covering waterfall photography and how to get the most of them. I'll be covering composition techniques, how to use a polarizer, the different shutter speeds that create different impacts. And what better way to do this than to actually come to a waterfall I've never been to before, and I thought that would give me the inspiration to really go through my process on location. And I'll also include a gallery of images at the end, maybe to hopefully inspire you with some of the waterfalls that I've captured over the years. I'm going to head on up the trail. I believe there's 3 falls here. I've reached the 3rd of the waterfalls now. I think this one is the best of the 3 to actually walk through the concepts that I'm going to go through today. It's absolutely beautiful. We've got a leading line down here, and then we've got the 3 parts. Odd numbers are brilliant. So we've got 3 parts coming out. I haven't even got the camera out of the bag yet. First things first when on location is scope it out. I'm going to be super careful here because the rocks are quite slippy. The river is in a pretty powerful flow. I've got 2 potential areas of composition. The first one is right at the foot of the falls. We've got these beautiful foreground rocks. We've got the 2 falls coming into the pool, and we've got just the glimmer of the pool, the falls at the top, and then we've got the spray coming out as well. What I really like about this is the framing of the grass on the right and the rocks on the left, framed it, and then the water running out from right to left of the frames. But my second composition is a little bit lower down the falls because we've got a little bit more of the cascades coming away from the 3 main falls at the top. So we can capture these as it comes down, taking us through the image. And I think there's a 3rd one as well. So I'm going to go to that location and then we'll start to talk about how I'm going to capture the images. And this is my 3rd potential composition for my scoping out. I really like the way that you got the top falls more in view. You've then got the falls on the right, and then it leads through. I'm not very happy about this one though, because the sun's starting to come out and the sun is right behind. So that is super high contrast. So I need to wait a little bit. So I'm going to head back to one of the previous ones. The other thing I don't like about this is something you really need to be careful of is we've got this branch, which sometimes this branch can add a really good frame to an image, but actually in this situation, it's not really working for us. It's cutting through the image rather than framing. And please remember to hit that like and subscribe button if you find that any of this useful. It really goes so far to supporting the channel, and your support is massively appreciated. Okay, so I've chosen position number 2. I hope that the noise isn't too horrendous. So why did I choose this composition over the other 2? The main reason is the flow of the water. We've got the 3 main elements of the waterfall. We've then got the leading line of this waterfall. We're framed at the bottom by these rocks. We're framed on the left by the ivy bush. And then we've got the trees coming in from the right. So it's a brilliant framing of the waterfall for this composition. So we've talked about framing and leading lines. Notice I'm not talking about rule of thirds. Really, for this waterfall and all those kind of rules, I don't always think about those. I'm really thinking about the odd numbers, which I really like. Visually, odd numbers work really well. And what I'm also thinking about here with this waterfall coming through this little gorge is going dark to light. So yes, we've got the leading line of the water in the foreground, which is quite light, but then we've got a dark layer and then another lighter layer. And then on the top, we've got the lighter layers still of the actual falls themselves, which gives us that contrast that allow the eye to flow through the image. And finally, one other thing on the composition, the sky behind it is really blown out, really white. So try not, my personal preference is to, on situations like this, is to exclude the sky. Unless you've got a really good bluebird day, then you can include some, but actually you'll just get burnout. And what you really want is the focus on this. If you have burnout in the sky, then actually that will draw the eye and it will take the eye away from what the subject is that you're trying to show, which is the waterfall. Quick chat about the kind of equipment you need. First things first, when doing waterfall photography, you'll need a cleaning cloth. Keep that front of that lens and any filters as dry as possible. You'll also hopefully have some filters. In here I've got my case filters. Check out my video on these afterwards. I love these filters, magnetic. I've got the polarizer and some ND filters which I'll walk through in this video. And also, last but no means least, is the tripod. I have mine mounted on my tripod, so it's really stable no matter what my shutter speed. And in terms of stability on the tripod, even though I'm on the tripod, there's two really fundamental things. One is I put it on the 2-second shutter delay. That's critical. That just allows the camera to settle even on the tripod, especially if you maybe stand in the tripod in water, which I quite often do. The other one that I've got, I turn image stabilization off. Now this is really critical because your image stabilizer will try to follow the flow of the water, meaning that you will get the flow of the water, but actually if you look around it, you'll find that you get quite a bit of blur because the lens is trying to balance. So make sure you turn image stabilization off when shooting waterfalls. And your best friend on location is your polarizing filter. So I'm just going to pop that on there, and now we'll have a look at what difference it makes. And with the circular polarizer, you can see as I rotate it, we've currently got very little reflection cut out, but as I rotate it, you can see the reflections. It really brings out the greens in the moss, and that's the value of a polarizer and why they're so critical to waterfall photography. Plus it gives you 2 stops to just bring that shutter speed down just a little bit. So let's have a quick chat about camera settings. I've got mine on ISO 100. That just allows me to bring that shutter speed down. I'm a fan of ISO 100. I know there's a lot of internet YouTube videos saying don't use ISO 100. Great for wildlife, but for landscape, I much prefer ISO 100. So let's take a look at our first image. This first image is no polarizer. I'll put all the settings, the camera settings, on each of the images for you so you know what I've been doing. But this first image is no polarizer, no nothing, straight out the camera. Now this image is with the polarizer on. Look at the enhanced colors that you can get, cutting out all of the glare. Sometimes you may find it beneficial not to fully cut out that glare. You may want to rotate the polarizer just 45 degrees away from that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through some of how you slow the shutter speed down. I'm going to use my ND64, which will give me another 2 stops. So that's going to be 4 stops to slow that shutter speed down. With just the polarizer attached, I'm getting 1/6 of a second. Now with both of these attached, I'm now getting 1 second, which is really slowing that water down. And you can see the difference. Here's the first image at 1/6, and here's the second image at 1 second. See, if I've got my camera at the moment at 10mm, so with 2 filters stacked, I am actually getting vignetting in the corners, which I need to eliminate. So I'm going to reset that for this exercise to be a little bit more zoomed in to get rid of that vignetting. I've still got it at 1 second, but what I've done now is I've just zoomed in. So it's only gone from 10 to 11mm. That's all it is, but it's got rid of that vignetting completely. But that's one of the things to be very careful of when stacking multiple filters on the front of your lens. And in this situation, what I've now done is I've used the aperture. So I've pushed the aperture, or I've closed it right down so that it actually has increased my shutter speed quite dramatically. I've now got 4 seconds. Once you get beyond 4 or 5 seconds, it doesn't make that much difference. I'll show you an example. So this image was shot at 4 seconds, and you can see that it's really starting to create that milky effect, which I know some people love, some people hate. My personal preference is that I really, really like this effect. And as you can see, as we move through the 10-second image and the 30-second image, there actually is virtually no difference in those images. You've got to have really slow moving water. Once you get beyond 4 or 5 seconds, it doesn't make that much difference. Which reminds me, whilst we're doing this, one of the things to be really careful of is when you're doing really long exposures, be careful of the wind. The wind's just blown, so the tree on the left, the leaves, you'll notice that the leaves will be blurry because actually the wind is blowing them around so strongly. So if you want to do really long exposures, pick a sheltered, quiet time. I do hope that you found these hints and tips useful and as a good guide for your own waterfall photography, because this is very much the approach that I use when on new locations. And if you've got any questions, do drop them down below and check out the videos at the end. And here's some waterfall images just to give you maybe a little bit of inspiration. 。 please remember to like and subscribe to the channel, and also check out these videos next. Thank you very much for your time in watching this video, and until next time, thank you and see you soon.